In a world drifting toward silent, electric uniformity, a few people choose to make a sound. Not a whisper, a roar. It's a paradox someone like Jay Leno understands, instinctively. In an age obsessed with peak efficiency, why would you willingly choose a difficult, demanding 50-year-old machine? To find the answer, you don't start in the engine bay. You look inward, into human psychology. And that is what we are here to deconstruct. Deconstruction begins with a simple, but unsettling, observation. Owning a vintage muscle car is rarely about transportation. It's a subconscious attempt to satisfy deep-seated psychological needs, the paradox hiding under the chrome. These machines aren't just cars. They're rolling declarations of who you are and what you quietly value in a world that keeps telling you to tone both of those down. Over the next few minutes, we're going to dissect the core drivers behind this phenomenon, the gravitational pull of nostalgia, the quiet rebellion of building an identity on your own terms, and the rare, almost sacred satisfaction of tangible mastery. It all starts with the first, and maybe the most potent, of these drivers. The appeal isn't that you're buying a vehicle. It's that, on some level, you're trying to buy a time machine. And this machine doesn't really travel through space and time at all. It travels through memory. For many, the connection is intensely personal. It's a sensory echo from childhood, sitting quietly in your subconscious. Maybe it's the low rumble of a neighbor's Dodge Charger that you could feel in your bones. Or the memory of being 8 years old, sitting in your uncle's Camaro, convinced you were in the cockpit of a spaceship, not just a car. But then there's a second, more curious form, inherited nostalgia. You see it in the person who becomes obsessed with a 1970 Chevelle, a car they never saw brand new, pulled in by the stories their grandfather told. They're not chasing their own past. They're reaching for a fragment of a story that defines their lineage, as if owning the car stitches them into it. And you have to understand, honestly, this isn't mere sentimentality. Research, like the work of psychologist Clay Routledge, shows that nostalgia is a powerful psychological tool. It gives you a sense of continuity and meaning, something stable that anchors you in a world that feels increasingly unstable. There's a paradox here. They're not just buying transportation. They're buying a time machine. This longing for a simpler, more authentic past is a powerful driver buried in your subconscious. But it's only half of the equation, because owning one of these machines isn't just about looking back. It's also a very loud, very clear statement about the present. A rebellion that's happening right now on our streets. You're not rebelling against a government. You're rebelling against an idea. Quiet, seamless conformity. Look at the modern car. It has evolved into a rolling living room, an appliance built to insulate you from the world, moving you from point A to point B with minimal sensation. It's anonymous by design. In a sea of identical silver SUVs, a 1970 Dodge Challenger in bright orange isn't just transportation anymore. It's a declaration. That declaration goes deeper than aesthetics. It is a conscious rejection of the core principle of modern consumerism. The belief that newer is always better. It's your quiet middle finger to planned obsolescence. The philosophy that everything you buy is designed to be replaced. Psychological studies of collector car hobbyists confirm this impulse. They consistently score high on the trait of independence. You're not following a trend. You're consciously, honestly stepping away from it, choosing to engage with something that demands more from you, something with history and substance. Somewhere in your subconscious, you know this machine is not just steel and gasoline. It's a philosophical stance on wheels. You feel it immediately, don't you? You know, that automatic twitch toward a screen the moment the room goes quiet. Now picture someone who grew up in the 1980s. In that same silence, they just sit. They carry an inner stillness that feels like a forgotten technology. This isn't magic. It's a set of psychological skills we've quietly lost. and the story of how they were stripped away is the story of a great untraining your generation was put through without your consent. That term I used a moment ago, the great untraining, is not just a catchy phrase. It's the key to understanding everything. It wasn't an accident. It was the quiet, systematic dismantling of the psychological muscles you need to navigate the world with a sense of inner calm. It is the story of how your environment was redesigned to erode your capacity for patience, focus, and emotional stability. Now, let's be perfectly clear. This is not an argument that the 1980s were a utopia, and it is not an indictment of your generation as somehow being weaker. That kind of take is lazy and honestly, completely wrong. The truth is more precise. People who grew up in the analog world were not inherently superior. They were simply subjected to a different kind of psychological conditioning, an environment defined by its limitations, by boredom, by silence, by waiting, inadvertently trained a set of skills that have become profoundly useful in our overstimulated present. This untraining is not your fault. It is a feature of the digital ecosystem. It profits from your fractured attention. It thrives on your low-grade anxiety. You haven't failed. You have been successfully re-engineered. This video is the beginning of the reversal of that process. It is a deep dive into 6 of these core, lost arts from the analog world that built resilience. We will not just analyze them from a distance. You will learn how to consciously practice them right now in your own life. So let's begin our recovery. We will start with the one thing our modern world has taught you to fear most. A state you've been conditioned to see as a failure, a void to be filled at all costs, a kind of inner silence you almost instinctively try to escape. But its true nature is that of a superpower, a paradox hiding in plain sight. We start with boredom. So, we begin with boredom, not as a void, but as a space, a kind of quiet interior room you almost never visit anymore. The first lost art is understanding that, in a pre-digital world, boredom wasn't a failure of the day. It was the default state. Picture it. 1985. You're 10 years old, a latchkey kid letting yourself into a silent house. The door clicks shut behind you. The only sound is the hum of the refrigerator and the slow rhythmic tick of a wall clock. There is no feed to scroll, no notification to check, no glowing rectangle asking for your attention. There is only the quiet. You lie on the floor and stare at the popcorn ceiling until the random patterns start to morph into shapes, then into scenes, then into stories. This is not emptiness. This is the blank page where your imagination finally gets the chance to speak up. Now contrast that with today. The frantic, almost involuntary thumb scrolling, refreshing a feed that never ends, consuming microdoses of outrage and validation. Your brain is never quiet. It's perpetually reacting. In the silence of that 80s afternoon, your nervous system was learning a critical skill. It learned that a low signal is not an emergency. It learned that silence is not a punishment. It is just silence. And that repetition allows a subconscious inner world to develop, one that isn't dependent on constant external input for a sense of self. This isn't just some romantic nostalgia for a simpler time. There is a deep neurological process at play. Neuroscientists call it the default mode network. When you drop into the seat, it's the low-frequency vibration of a carbureted V8 crawling up your spine, the mechanical resistance of the steering wheel fighting you through a corner, the faint smell of gasoline and oil hanging in the air. Your brain is forced to track a constant stream of information, every vibration and weight shift, logged whether you want it or not. This is not a bug in the system. It is the central feature. Psychologists call this a flow state, a neurological phenomenon where you become so fully absorbed in an activity that your sense of self and even the passage of time seem to dissolve. It only appears when a high-skill challenge is met with an equally high level of focus. The sheer cognitive load required to pilot this machine doesn't just occupy your thoughts. It starves the anxious, overthinking parts of your mind into silence and lets your subconscious take over for a while. Now contrast that with the experience of a modern car. It is a sensory deprivation chamber on wheels, a quiet pod designed to insulate you from the act of driving. Honestly, with every driver aid and automated system, you become less of a pilot and more of a passenger, watching rather than participating. The muscle car does the opposite. It drags you out of your mental noise and demands your absolute presence. This relentless demand for engagement is the core of its appeal. It explains what the driver is feeling, that strange mix of terror, control, and calm. But it raises a more complex question. Who exactly is drawn to this kind of experience? You know the caricature already. There is a ghost in this machine, a persistent stereotype about the soul who turns the key. And as we'll see, the data tells a very different story. That stereotype is the old script of traditional masculinity. Historically, the culture was male-dominated, built on displays of power, aggression, and mechanical control. It looked like a ritual of horsepower and ego. But that image is a relic. The reality on the ground has shifted. Authoritative industry data, including reports from organizations like SEMA, show a change. Today, women make up a significant and growing share of enthusiast community, by some measures, as high as 27%. So the attraction was never truly about gender. Honestly, subconsciously, it has always been about universal human drives, the need for agency, the satisfaction of competence, the pride of mastering a complex system that answers when you turn a wrench or touch the throttle. We have traced nostalgia, identity, mastery, and community. You see the appeal cross demographic lines, which returns us to the paradox. Is this attachment to old, loud, inefficient machines an irrational fixation? Or is it one of the most rational responses to an increasingly abstract world? At this point, you know this is a profoundly rational response. Across this whole analysis, you've seen that these are not just machines. They are time capsules of nostalgia, rolling declarations of identity, and quiet arenas for achieving mastery and flow. That's the paradox. Calling this passion irrational simply means you are misunderstanding what is actually being purchased. You're not watching someone waste money on an old car. You're watching a calculated investment in meaning. People are not buying miles per gallon. They are buying purpose, connection, and a tangible fragment of their own story in a world that offers almost none. So the next time you hear the low rumble of a V8, or catch the unmistakable silhouette of a classic on the horizon, remember what you are really seeing. You are not just looking at a vehicle. You are seeing someone's passion, their history, their identity on wheels, made visible in metal. If you like decoding the subconscious meaning under ordinary life, subscribe for more.